we're back, and normal endgame sensei, what I would do is introduce a position, talk about it a little bit, and then they would play it out. David and Kosi would play it out. This time, since we're just kind of like witnessing a potentially very interesting game, we're just going to watch this for a little bit. And in addition, David has some positions he'd like to show that he's played recently. The thing about this game, let me just reintroduce it, is that it's the last time Nepo and Carlsen are going to meet. It's also this big endgame of like, normally I think most of us would think that this is easily holdable for black, some kind of word like that. But given that it's Carlsen, I don't know. We don't know if it's actually easily holdable. My intuition would be, sure, black should hold this easily. But one of the interesting things about Carlsen and how Carlsen has changed the endgame in general is just that he's made positions that previously we would have thought as dead equal. He's made them far more rich and fighting than people would have thought back in the day. Okay, so there we are. David, since we finally got you on the mic here,
yeah,
what is your take on this? Oh, thank you for streaming. Nakesons, man. I love Nakesons, man.
We got a raid?
Yeah, we got raid from Nakesons.
Raid! Yay.
I love that guy, Nakesons. He wiped me out in a blitz match once.
Oh, yeah.
I got to hang out with him.
I saw that. That was a true beatdown. It was good stuff.
St. Louis, I got to hang out with him some. Okay, anyways, re-question. David, what do you think about this? Is this dead draw, or does Magnus have some kind of hope here?
I mean, honestly, I don't see anything for him right now myself, but that doesn't mean too much. But I mean, just me looking at the board, I don't see what he can do against black's control of the light squares. Mm-hmm. That light squared bishop looks really good. It's got a lot of room. You were thinking bishop d5 would be an idea here, right?
Well, if I was white, I would be like worried, does bishop e6, d5, does that just end the game, for example?
Yeah. And I think it makes sense to do that because actually one of the things that white could try to do otherwise is get their king to e4. Because, at some point the bishop's going to have to choose directions, right? So like bishop g4 check, king e4 is, I don't think, very good for black. I don't think you want the white king to get that territory. But alternatively, white can play, c4 and then king f4 and then king e4 when the bishop goes back and bring the knight back to f4. Unless the bishop gets tucked on g6 or h7, but I was kind of thinking it would go to e6 or c8.
David, I just had an amazing idea, actually. How about this as an idea? If bishop e6, maybe I just sack a pawn with bishop g5 and say, take that, buddy.
Bishop d5, b3. Bishop e6, b3, bishop d5.
No, bishop e6, just bishop g5 right away.
Leaving the a pawn hanging.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good idea.
With the claim that I'll then get the rook to d6 and my knight can go to f4 and all my pieces will be pretty good.
Okay. And so I would throw in bishop d5 check right there.
King f4.
See what you're working with, and you'd come forward.
That looks a little spicy.
Yeah.
So one thing about this is, I just tell to everybody, so that's just an interesting idea, and Nepo can shut it down with rook g8. Right, he can shut it down with rook g8, but again, I think white's intention is something like bishop f4, knight e3 after that.
Okay, how about this approach for black? When you play bishop g5, I trade it on g5.
So wait, let me just put some arrows so people know what we're talking about. Bishop e6, bishop g5.
Yeah. I trade it. I check on d5. You come up to f4 again because you're all about how white's king is better.
Yeah.
Then I snip on g2.
Yeah.
I push h4.
Yeah.
Oh, but I was assuming you were probably going to take, but you might just play rook.
I might play rook h2.
Rook h2.
Now, dude played bishop g4 check, and this is hoping to inconvenience my king. So white has, let's just say, this is a mathematical truth. White has 3 different options, and they all speak to me a little bit. The problem with king f4 is I kind of wanted to put my bishop there.
Yeah. I think the king goes to e4 here for sure.
And if there's an issue with king e4, it's that bishop e6 comes with a little bit more wrath.
Mm-hmm.
But it's similar, right? Because I could still play bishop g5. It didn't stop me. Now, I don't know if that's his idea, but that's was just, I like the idea of bishop g5 because I think once I get it, then I want to, let's just say the obvious. I want to trade dark square bishops. And once I trade dark square bishops, that d6 square is looking tasty. Also, my king feels more secure once I get a bishop pair off.
Yeah.
And my king's just better, man.
Oh, your king's great. The light square bishop is having to keep it out of f5. White's got a pretty simple plan of knight f4 and then either rook d6 or rook h2, depending which pawn white wants.
I also want. Also, we were talking about knight e3 f5 too.
Oh, sorry. Knight e3 to f5. Okay.
So let's just say for white, the bishop g5 is a really cool idea, but also bishop f4 is the more pedestrian way to build the position. You know, after say David's king e4.
Right, bishop f4, knight e3, and just creeping forward.
And my guess is that Nepo's thinking on king e4, bishop e6, like he feels better about that position, but the bishop g5 thing might be a thing he's not seeing because I didn't see it at first, and it looks dangerous, man. Bishop g5, and king e4 only helps me in that regard because then once you check me on d5, I go to f5, even deeper. I want to go deeper.
We know. We know. No, I mean, it looks a little scary for black. I'm surprised by bishop g4.
This is all Nordovich's fault because he wanted to play c6. And me and Costa were like, oh, black's so fine, all yada yada. I mean, maybe, I'm assuming, let's give Jan the benefit of the doubt that he's got some kind of idea, but after king e4, I don't feel comfortable. I've waxed and waned throughout this game of like, sometimes I'm thinking white's a little bit better, and sometimes I'm thinking black is just fine.
So how about after king e4 playing rook g8 to stop this bishop g5 move?
Okay.
Because I'm finding that move really strong.
So let's then default back to bishop f4.
And then we'll go bishop e6 because I don't think this bishop should have ever been on g4.
And then knight e3.
Okay. I mean, you know, I'm wondering about snipping.
Yeah.
Why can't I, Jesse?
I think you probably can. But
okay, give it to me.
I could play rook d6 was the hope.
Okay.
I mean, the hope is that I've now built this juggernaut in the center, and if I win the c6 pawn, then my knight gets the d5 square again.
Right, so you go rook d6, bishop e7.
Rook takes.
King d7.
Rook h6. And
Takes.
maybe that's just nothing special. Maybe that's really not what I want. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we've traded rooks and healed black's queenside majority, right? A little bit of majority healing.
I'm turning down your mic as apropos of somebody complaining. Just that your mic was louder than mine or something. But it is true. I had it louder. Right. So let me just say, in general, with that last variation, I do not. If I'm going to do this fancy business, I don't want to trade rooks ever. So let's do that again, David. So king e4.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you play black.
Okay, rook g8.
Rook g8. Just thinking if I have anything fancy there. Because I guess I could play rook d6. No, I don't know about that. You could still do bishop e6 to me there. And I have to deal with g3. Now, maybe you're onto it, Dave. Maybe that's what he's intending, is king e4, rook g8.
Oh, sorry. And that last variation, when you played rook h6, I couldn't trade rooks at the end because my rook wasn't on h8.
Good point. Good point. This is why David trains blindfold. Okay, so let's do it with arrows and try it again. So king e4, rook g8. Again, I'm sure there's many moves black could play there, but then we're going to go bishop f4.
Yeah, bishop e6.
Bishop e6. Now,
knight e3.
I think if I play like some weenie move like b3, the bishop d5 will truly disconcert me.
Okay.
Right? Because if I go king f5, you can check me like a maniac. Okay, so he plays king f2.
Also, I can trade on g2 and then take your h-pawn.
Something like that. So here we go, king f2, the weenie move.
Okay.
But
wait, you play king f2 now?
Well, I didn't play it. Carlsen played it.
Just now he did?
Yeah.
Okay.
What it does, though, is it preserves just the simple intention of bishop f4, knight e3.
Right. The only thing not surprising about this move is that, indeed, I am not successfully predicting either moves for white or for black this game.
Well, but let's just say, I mean, bishop g4 is clear. Like, normally you wouldn't do it, and only if you thought you were discombobulating white a little bit. And Carlsen saw something about king e4 they didn't like.
Yeah.
Right. The bishop, though, I don't know. I mean, he can always go back to e6 now.
Yeah.
So one of the problems maybe that white could claim, by the way, is just to say, look, the plan still stands. I'm playing bishop f4, knight e3, and then I'm walking the king up, and there's nothing you can do about it. Which kind of feels true. That kind of feels true. Yeah, it's at least a thing. But no one wanted, I mean, obviously we all wanted king e4, right? That was our ambitious move.
Right. Yeah. So here's my idea for black. When you play bishop f4 next, I will play bishop back to f5.
Okay.
And if you go knight e3, I can put the bishop on e4 and keep white's king at bay.
Okay, it's got to be said. I don't know if it's crushing or anything, but then knight c4 is at least something you got to worry about.
All right, I forgot. Fair enough.
This is all Nordovich's fault because he played c6.
Yeah. Which was up there among the 10 moves I didn't predict out of the last 10 moves.
So David, these games you're going to show us later, and maybe it doesn't happen this Sensei, it could happen another Sensei. This was from a tournament you played? Tell us about it.
From the National Open.
Yeah.
I had 6 games there. A couple games where I had like crushingly great positions, I lost or drew when I had to, calculate tactics and my time got low. And the only 2 games that I won were games where I traded queens in the first 10 moves. So I think that Endgame Sensei was paying off, and I was excited to show you those games. Because, you kind of got me my only 2 wins at the entire tournament. I flew all the way there. I spent like $2,000 for a weekend tournament. What the heck? And the only points I got to show, I think, were thanks to you. So,
well, I'm sure that's not entirely true, but I appreciate it. I appreciate that you're giving me the credit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, it was pretty tragic. I mean, the most tragic were 2 games where I was just absolutely winning out of the opening. Not like, oh, I've got a nice position or something like that. I mean, you know, just completely winning. And one of them I drew and one of them I lost. And just terrible. I mean, just complete inability to calculate the finish under time pressure.
Yeah, it's really tough. There's also so much pressure on like individual games. You're just playing for hours and hours, and one mistake ruins it all.
Yeah, and especially I had my most painful moment in my last tournament, which went mostly well, is this Endgame. I feel I was either clearly better or winning. And I played like one lazy move, and then the guy found a fortress, and I was like, oh no, how can that be? How could that be? But that's exactly the way it went down for me. And so the Endgame Sensei did not pay off for the Sensei.
For the Sensei.
Maybe you gotta play more.
People always say this nonsense about how, like, you know, you learn as much like as the teacher or whatever as your students do. But no, I mean, Endgame Sensei, you help us. It doesn't help you probably.
Yeah,
to hang out with our mediocre moves, but
exactly, we brought you down to our level.
Yeah, we probably brought you down a little bit. We averaged ourselves out a little on the end game realm. But of my end games, and depending how much time we have, you may have to choose which one you want to see. There's one where I played like a busted opening and like scrambled into a bad end game, and so I'm sure I was like worse or much worse. And, you know, played along, and somehow things worked out and my opponent outplayed themselves. And then there's another one where I think I had the advantage the whole time. And so it's 2 different flavors. You know, one I have a bad position and one I have a good position.
Yeah. This move, King F2, was such a vegetarian move, David, you know? Like, I wanted to play soft. I wanted Bishop G5 ideas, and now I don't got them no more.
Carlsen is known for taking his time.
And one thing it does do is it gives Black the opportunity to be like, hey, buddy, do you want to push your queenside pawn some more? He's thinking about it. He's thinking about maybe some kind of C4, B5 thing.
Right.
And maybe it's not so bad, but that's exactly the kind of thing where Carlsen might find some tricky wikis with his knight dancing.
Yeah, I mean, B5, for example, white might have bishop takes C5.
And maybe he's thinking about trying to weenie out with like bishop H3 and hacking on G2. I don't think you want to do that. You don't want to do it. It's one of the things he's thinking about.
I mean, the same color bishop ending is pretty dangerous for black, with white having the D file and the better king and more space in the center. Yeah. And the route all the way to F5 for the king, like just uncontestable.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, even if Carlsen wants to play bishop G5, you know, he's happy to play bishop F4 first.
But you got to have your king in the vicinity before you do it, I think, right? That's the
right.
Yeah. Okay, so rook G8 makes sense.
But, you know, he might find some surprising place where you can play bishop G5, and even after black trades and plays rook G8 and wins his pawn, you know, he goes rook D6 and knight F4 and keeps playing that position without the G pawn.
Yeah, so if he doesn't play bishop F4, I'm not going to be, I guess, am I going to be upset? I don't know if that's the right word. I'll be like, what? I guess there's some weird universe where rook D6 is a move, but it's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to do
bishop F4 seems like the move.
Yeah.
I mean, why play knight G2, yeah? If not for all this. Do you guys think Nepo is enjoying this position?
No.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point, right? Like, why? Even if he makes a draw here, like.
I think he's in. I think he's working on the match here. I think you're absolutely right. What you guys were saying earlier about how it's sort of like if he can prove that he can hold a bad position, like what confidence does that give him? So in the match, he's not going to try to get bad positions on purpose, right? I don't think he's going to play this opening. But if he can make himself believe that he can hold this position, then when he gets an endgame like of any kind, he'll have that confidence to build on. And he can also plant this doubt in Carlsen's mind about whether or not Carlsen can beat him.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be a bad position. If you can just hold an endgame against Carlsen.
Yeah, no, I mean, any equal endgame, just playing 80 moves in the endgame with Carlsen and drawing is going to be incredible.
Yeah, huge achievement. Yeah. I don't think we think Black is objectively doing that bad here. It's just it's just a position where it's very easy for Black to go wrong, and Magnus is pretty much the world's best player at kind of inducing these types of mistakes where objectively everything is fine, but yeah, you have to make. See, I feel like Magnus, he doubled the Smyslov 40 move rule. He's like, now you have to play 80 good moves against me.
Yeah.
and then we'll see, and then we'll talk.
He's found ways to leave the pieces on the board for really long periods of time that are sometimes shocking. Because like in other people's games, it's like, well, there's certain prime squares for the pieces, and they sort of tend towards those squares, and then they trade off. Like, and he finds ways to like keep going around. But I don't think that Nepo is suffering right now at all, because I think this is his game plan, right? So I think he's just hard at work. I mean, he's taking the first step towards an attempt at the World Championship. I don't rate his chances very highly. Probably doesn't rate his own chances very highly, but I mean, you've got that opportunity. You're going to work the hardest you can, and this is the first step. So I imagine he's just zoned in.
Yeah, but okay.
Now, by the way, everybody, stop watching Kostya's new video. I work hard on my videos, and Kostya just puts his avocado toast face on and then goes on a little rant, and then everybody chimes in. He's already got 29 comments. Don't watch it. Don't watch it. Watch my videos. Watch my
really
videos.
Good.
Wow, Stream Elements is on your side too, Jesse. As you said that, it told everybody to check out your latest video.
And check it out, dude. Carlsen just played A3.
Wow. Yeah, that was actually a clip from the opening lap, so it wasn't even recorded video. It was recycled, but it was a good rant.
Okay,
is it the one about gambits, Kostya?
It's similar. This one is about whether one should avoid theory or whether you should avoid theoretical lines.
Right, I saw that in my timeline pop up. Should you avoid theory?
Yeah, I let people have it.
Cool. If we spoil what's in the video, then people watching won't have to go watch the video, and that'll be good for Jesse. Oh. So let me guess that you told people that they shouldn't avoid theory.
Right. Yeah, that was one of my main points. It's like everyone is afraid of theory. So like
I could play this move that's good and that I know is good and leads to a good position. Heck no. Let me find something terrible to do instead.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a big epidemic. It's like people, they just hear this word theory and it just scares them, and it's like, I don't even know what the equivalent is. It's like maybe there's something for like high level athletes that no one else has to bother with. And then people are like, oh, should I be like doing an ice pack or like a heating pad?
No. It's steroids. And they're like, well, everybody else is doing steroids. Everybody else knows opening theory.
Yeah, maybe. But okay. Yeah. Steroids, not great.
Okay, guys, I got a question for you. In this position, if Black plays Bishop H3, what do I do? What do I do if he goes bishop h3?
Maybe maybe bishop f4, and then if you take on g2, take on h4, rook d6. Oh, there's bishop g3 and h4 at the end.
Exactly. Good. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. b3. Wow.
So, okay. So on bishop h3, I want to play Kostis' move, but I didn't. His variation, bishop g2, puts me off, right? Now, maybe Magnus has something magical there, but I don't see it. And then if you play king f3, I think he just gives you the dirty here, check, and then it's a little bit uncomfortable.
King f3 after bishop h3?
Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
And then what if he goes back?
Kostya, make a video of you just eating avocado toast and we'll make it go to the moon.
Just to piss off Jesse. They'll send it to the viral lab.
#1 video. Very funny.
Anyway, so that's what I don't understand. I mean, a3, let's say it's a weird move, but you're trying to get out of the eventual tempo of bishop e6. That much is clear. Why you didn't play bishop f4 first, it's beyond me.
But
it's beyond me.
Here's the thing. After bishop h3, he's got the move knight e1. It's just like pure Carlsen. Nothing you can do about it. Then he goes bishop f4, right? And now black is forked between either knight c2 to e3 or knight g2 to e3. The bishop can't cover c2 and g2.
Okay.
And
yeah. Knight. I mean, yeah. Knight e1, not the proudest move, but sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I agree with David. Very Carlsen-esque.
Yeah. All right. Bishop e7 was played, and now the whole time I've been thinking bishop f4 knight e3 was the plan. But given the last move a3, I'm beginning to doubt myself a little bit.
You think he's thinking about b4 with the idea of cb, ab, and then rook a2?
It's hard to imagine because in general, Mama said don't do that.
Right.
You know, but it's yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, because black's rook is kind of stuck on g8. That's like white's maybe one of their possible advantages here.
I would definitely want my knight to be more active, for example, before I did that.
Yeah. By the way, there's a question. If bishop h3, if knight f4 there, I think black just goes back bishop g4 because the point is Magnus just put his knight on g2 voluntarily like 2 moves ago. So yeah, that would be kind of delaying white from making progress.
Okay, so besides preventing rook d6, which is, of course, at least some kind of achievement, does black do it? Is bishop e7 accomplish anything else? Like, he's just sitting, right?
Yeah, just sitting.
Yeah.
And I guess b4 is an idea. I mean, I wouldn't want to do it, but it's an idea.
Yeah. You know, there's another endgame in Rapport Fallujah.
It's a good thing we're not looking at that.
To say that's also an endgame. But looks like Rappert's doing great. For anyone who cares about the score, Rappert's ahead. He's up.
What do you mean ahead?
He's leading, you know.
Like his position's good?
Yeah, his position's slightly better.
Okay. Nice.
No, I really like this focusing on the one game because I'm like really struggling, like to understand. There's a couple moves here like that Carlsen's made that I don't get, man. A3 among them. I guess I understand. It's kind of sort of A3. King F2, I didn't understand. Though I can imagine seeing something that I was afraid of with the king being on E4.
No.
And, David, maybe you're like long thing of knight e1. Maybe even knight f3 and some kind of g5 occupation.
Yeah, there's several routes available to this knight. Like, you surprised me when the knight popped up on c4 before, right?
Right.
And I mean, I'm easily surprised by knights, but looking at this position, it seems like the white knight does have ample room to show up in different spots.
And I think it's important to say that if we achieve bishop f4, knight e3, knight takes g4, that endgame might not be lost, but it's going to be unpleasant.
Oh, it's lost.
Davis is lost. It might be lost.
Just dead. Just dead. I mean, you've got the idea of rook h2 and pushing the h pawn. You've got the idea of king e3 to e4 to f5 attacking the g pawn from behind, right? And
yeah, no, it looks bad. Steve's asking me, so I had this, my glasses were all fogged up at the last tournament, and they, it was really weird because I did have the mask over my nose. It was like over my nostrils. It just wasn't over the lip of my nose, and they were just pitching a fit, man. They were just having a fit, and if I put it over the lip of my nose, it would fog up. Anyway, so people were asked, they wrote in all kinds of suggestions about how to fix it, and I just say I have researched the problem. I researched it significantly before I went to the previous tournament, and so no, I'm done researching it. People were telling me, like, put tape on my nose and all kinds of stuff, and at this point, I'm just done. I'm not going to play again until we're done with the mask situation, which I'm hoping is soon. Yeah. But I'm not going to, unless if they can just relax a little bit, I'll play with it just above my nostrils. But I don't know. The mask police are really intent these days, so I'm just not even going to mess with it. I'm happy to wear the mask if I'm going to go into a grocery store or something, whatever. But being on a chessboard for 5 hours with the glasses fogging, dude, no, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, stuff with the glasses.
There's a friend of the dojo, Nicholas Hayden. I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, but he invited me and I probably you guys as well, dude, to play over, like, after Christmas, to play in the Rilton Cup in Copenhagen, also known as Copenhagen.
Rilton Cup?
Yeah, Rilton Cup, dude.
Oh, it's a big tournament.
Yeah, no, that would be really fun to get out of the States and do some traveling. Of course, it all depends. We don't even know if that's possible, but that would be a dream for me, man, to get out of this place and go play a nice tournament somewhere.
Yeah.
And can you get away from your kids for like a full?
It might be the time actually I could do it because they could go hang out with the grandparents.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Nice. Dojo does Denmark. That'd be fun. I'd be down to play, I think.
Yeah, dude. Well, you're a free man. You get to play in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want. You're in St. Louis 1 week, Vegas the next.
Yeah, living the life. So much to study, though. Unbelievable. There's too much chess out there.
Okay, so the last move is bishop e7, and Magnus is thinking?
Bishop e7 didn't change the position at all, Magnus. So you either had a plan here or you didn't, buddy.
Yeah, you can still go b4.
Okay, we should say...
Magnus has plans. He's just picking when to reveal them.
So there's the weird knight e1 move that would be just... That's too much for daddy here. There's bishop f4, which he does.
Oh, there you go. Nice.
He does. He finally does bishop f4. I've been waiting for bishop f4 now for ages. Probably at least an hour. I've been waiting for bishop f4.
Right.
Yeah, how do you not put your bishop here? Defend e5, defend g3. Perfect square. That's a good bishop.
An amazing piece.
Now, one intention
it's in camouflage as a pawn. It's just trying to blend in, so you get surprised if it goes to h6 one day.
Mm-hmm.
An intention of bishop e7 might be to play bishop c5 after if knight e3. Excuse me, to play c4 now, and then if knight e3, then bishop c5.
What about the c4 pawn? Oh, you're going to trade it. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a king on it. Okay. c5, c4 right here, in other words.
Right. It's a very committal move, though, and maybe then Carlsen just totally switches it up after that. For example, then we could do knight e1 to f3, and then really put the knight on d4. Okay, rook g6, my friends. Not really what Daddy expected.
And quick, too. I think that shows confidence. That was like 1 minute, and Magnus spent 7 minutes on his move.
I considered rook g6 actually, but then I thought to myself, well, that doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, same.
Okay, obvious question. What are you going to do after knight e3?
For me, bishop e6.
Okay, and let's say king f3.
Stay back.
Right, so white has, let's just say that white has a simple plan of king f3, king e4, and then at some point playing knight f5.
Right.
Yeah.
Squeezing.
I'm going to say my king is better.
Mm-hmm. I don't really see anything other than letting you play knight f5 and just sitting there. Oh, but I see some problems with sitting there too.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's some idea behind rook g6, but I don't see it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about the Rilton Cup. The Rialto Cup, it might be a different tournament I don't know about. That sounds like a good tournament, the Rialto Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pre-COVID, I was invited to some cool tournaments, and then nothing ever happened because of the COVID.
No. Yeah, it'd be nice to play some big opens again.
Maybe the intention is someday with rook g6 to play f6. It's always it's never going to lose you the game to play f6. So it could go like, for example, knight e3, bishop c8, king f3, f6.
Yeah.
I still totally believe in, yeah, that would be the way to do it. And then your king has the f7 square. And yeah, okay, I'm going to guess that's the intention, and that's what Carlsen is now thinking about.
Okay, and can white just leave it there and play king e4 anyway, and then king f7, knight f5?
I'm sure that's exactly what he was calculating, but now he played your move, boss.
Come to Papa.
Come to Papa. Where is Papa going, Kostya? Where is Papa going?
Maybe he's going to e3.
He could have gone to e3 just then.
Yeah, but he wants to force black to make two moves, and then when he plays knight c2, knight e3, it's going to be awkward for black.
I don't know why he played knight e1, Jesse.
I mean, can he be trying to play knight f3 and maybe knight g5?
It's weird. I mean, I guess. But like, even if you just land knight g5 right now,
yeah,
black could still be like, well, okay, cool. Congratulations.
But then maybe like knight e4 from there.
And then let's say again, I say, cool, congratulations.
Then I'll
He's
go.
going to play bishop g5.
Yeah, bishop g5.
Okay. Then I would play like bishop f5. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, knight g5.
Then he can play bishop takes e7. And on king e7, knight f6 or g5 is good for white. And on bishop takes e4, bishop f6 is really good for white.
Yeah.
One idea I'm seeing is like we're still going to try to hold the psychological threat of b4 over black's head. And when we played knight f3, then we'll hopefully be dealing with c4 ideas, because then I can play knight d4. I don't know. That's also not convincing to me. And we'll be dissuading f6 because then the knight can come to e5. Also not convincing to me, but it's at least a thought. Now, Steve North, the idea of bringing the knight to f4 is interesting because he was already there. He was already there on f4. And this whole arrangement was done, I thought, going back to g2, so we could go to e3. But no. He played Mr. Bruce's diabolical 91. I don't know.
One day this will be one of the most famous moves in chess, Jesse. 91. Everyone will know about it. Like the time Carlsen played this, and it took people like 6 months to understand why he'd done it.
Yeah. Name a more iconic 91.
Well, also the bummer about not going to e3 is now his bishop gets the d5 square.
Oh boy.
You got to put your knight back on e3, Carlsen. Come on, buddy.
Yeah, knight c2, bishop d5, knight e3, bishop e6.
Though then we start to get Pruse's maneuver where he wanted, then he could play bishop e4, and then it's hard for us to get around town. I guess then we have the knight c4 thing too. So even then we're still playing.
Yeah. Where is he going?
Knight f3,
Knight
here
F3.
it comes.
Ah.
Remember, like at the beginning, Kostya, I was like, he should play bishop g5 to trade the bishops. And Rennick was like, oh, that's some boomer GM talk right there. Well, guess what, friends? I think he'd like to play bishop g5.
Yeah. Magnus has studied all the boomer GMs. That's where he got his positional touch.
That's right, man. That's right.
Now, bishop g5 is a move that was played as recently as like 2 years ago in that position, maybe even 1 year ago. So to call it boomer is like pretty brutal. It's a fairly recent theoretical move.
It's just the move we did back then, Rennick. I've run Rennick out of chat, by the way. He left a long time ago. He couldn't take it.
Yeah. Got sick of the boomer GM.
Face what he'd created, the monster he created.
I think Chess Latte's out too, man, because I brutalized him yesterday. I just brutalized him.
What did you do to that poor kid?
Oh, I did the play the people thing, and I was because did you know the story, David? That he, entered his last, COVID ends, and Chess Latte's there with a puzzle rate, chess.com puzzle rating of 3,000, a chessable score of 800,000, and his opponents are facing him, and he's got a rating of 712.
Right, and he couldn't win prize money with that rating.
So I was just like, man, he came on to play me, and I was like, Chess Latte, man, I'm going to beat you down while I got the chance, buddy. I'm going to hurt you bad, and I did. Oh, man. So, yeah, he's gone now. He's not talking to me. No, he says he's here. He says he's
right as always, Jesse.
Latte. You go out there. You earn that bread.
Oh, man. Now, one thing about this game, man, is like it's gone back and forth. Like now, it just feels like when I say back and forth, I mean sometimes I felt like white had a little something, and then other times I'm like black is just totally fine. We are now back into the position where I feel like God, black must be totally fine here, just beyond fine.
Oh no. Black is in danger.
Black's in danger, dog.
Yeah.
Okay, what? Because of bishop g5?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say I play bishop d5 here.
Bishop d5?
Yeah.
Well, that's annoying.
Well,
Why is my pawn on a3? I want to kick you out of there with b3 and c4.
Magnus.
Magnus. Magnus.
I got the pawn at a3.
I don't know what to do about a bishop on d5 anymore. Honestly, yeah. But has my knight been to h2 yet this game? I don't think so. So maybe I could play knight h2.
What about knight g5 on bishop d5?
Then f6 looks good.
5-6.
I assume that was the intention of rook g6 anyway, but
Yeah, bishop d5 looks very comfortable.
That's no bueno at all. Is my king still on f2 right now?
Yeah.
okay, I got one idea here. On bishop d5, maybe I can claim that I still can keep the game going after bishop g5. I don't know if that's true, but
Bishop g5?
One reason I just don't believe in it.
Isn't the knight hanging on e4?
Well, it would go bishop d5, bishop
g5,
g5, bishop f3 if that's what you wanted to
Yeah,
do.
yeah.
Bishop e7.
Right.
And then maybe I got a little something, something.
So then it's king e7, king f3, king e6.
Oh yeah, this rook endgame.
Yeah. I don't know. It doesn't even mean anything though, because I feel like bishop d5, worst case, black could play f6, and I'd rather be black at that point. That bishop on d5 is so amazing.
It is amazing. How did this happen?
This is what we're saying, man. This is what
rook
I'm saying.
seems okay.
Carlsen, why did you put the knight on e3? Magnus.
I've got a real problem with a3 right now. That bishop on d5 is a problem.
Well, take it up with the king.
David, are you going to get to play any tournaments anytime soon?
It's not planned concretely. I've been out from under the weight of my kids for 3 days now, so I'm going to plan Ultimate Sensei, and once Ultimate Sensei is scheduled, then I will schedule a tournament for myself.
Nice.
The goal is that it has to be in 2021, so it shouldn't be too far off.
Yeah, I think we could try to make it happen for like September, October.
Yeah.
Dude thought for 6 minutes to me, that was like a really obvious move. That was just like the most obvious of the obvious. But he's worried about something. I don't know.
Yeah, Nepo's actually been using his time. It's not his usual quick play, moving super fast.
There it is, bishop g5. At least I had the thought of the pot.
Yeah, but what's the idea after f6? I mean, your f6 move is...
Yeah, f6 is very known.
I assume he's going to do
worrisome.
something like maybe just back to f4.
Back to f4, yeah.
But you were going to play f6 for black anyway. I mean...
Dude, he's just trying to keep, as far as I'm reading the situation, he's just trying to keep the game going. And at this point, dude, after bishop d5 shows up on your doorstep, I don't know what else you want to do.
Right. No, I really, you play bishop d5, and I feel like I'm so mad at myself. I could see the angry Carlsen expression. when he can't believe what he's done.
It is true that we get rid of his bishop, because on bishop f8 we get the crude c4, and it's game over, baby. Morphy versus the Duke.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, Putsy, we've been wondering if it's been anything but a draw. This part of the Endgame Sensei is that Carlsen has shown that you can grind in these positions, and there's been several moves where we were like, dude, Carlsen, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? And my guess is that Black has several ways to draw this thing. For example, f6 looks like the cleanest to me, but bishop f3, bishop e7, king e7, king f3, king e6. It's very hard for me to imagine that White has anything there. Very hard.
Yeah, that looks like a really clear solution for Black to me. I don't even know what White does there. Honestly.
There he goes, bishop f3. And let's say that is presumably what he was thinking about forever when he played bishop d5, was just making sure that something like this was going to work.
Man, so that means we're going to Armageddon.
Yeah, it feels like 91's not going into the history books. That move went nowhere, but I blame A3.
If you're reading some future book, man, it'll have 91, triple exclam. Magnus sees deep into the position.
Yeah.
I mean, if he wins this one, then yeah.
But right now, it seems like the rook endgame is coming, and it's not good for White.
Tibor Karolyi, he's annotating this game as it's being played.
And honestly, if anybody's better here, it's Black, right?
Right.
Unless there's some magic. Is there? Okay, here is a magical thought. No, I don't have a magical thought.
Yeah, just seems unlikely that White is winning this. Very, very unlikely.
Yeah. I mean, after king e6, is there anything, Jesse?
Well, I'm looking at the thing, man. I don't see anything. I mean, I saw this position, we all saw it like 10 minutes ago, and I don't know what you're supposed to do, man.
Yeah, players are just catching up.
Oh, well, okay, here's maybe an idea that he's going to do. How about rook d8, and if king e5, I play rook h8. Now, you do
your king is on f3, right?
Yes, you do have rook f6, rook f5, but you might be getting jammed there. You might be jammed.
Yeah, I think what I would prefer, Jesse, and correct me, but I think what I would prefer is king d5.
So let's go rook d8, king e5, rook h8, king d5, right?
Yeah.
Rook h5, king c4.
King c4. Yeah.
This looks a little scary with rook f5.
Right, rook f5.
It's going to be a race. I don't know what my pawns are. They're pretty fast there.
Rook f5, f6.
h5.
Rook h6.
And then now I can play king g4 and a rook f2. So you're not going to win on the pawn on b2.
Oh, rook f2 is smooth.
King g4, king b3.
Rook f2.
Rook f2. Okay. But you also can't move anything more,
I can, though, because
right?
I can go rook h2, king f5, king e6, king f7, king g7. Over.
King f5 and then what?
King
e6 to f7?
And then g7.
You come behind like Hogan?
Coming behind, baby. Coming behind.
Well, White could also even just do like g4, g5 there. I think, that's just a very passive rook.
But rook g6 makes sense. And they're just going to repeat here. Well, okay, Carlsen.
Oh, interesting. He didn't take on e5 because of rook d7, I guess. So he just wants to repeat the position.
I think we're going to get our draw here, my friends.
Nice. Are they playing Armageddon right away, or is there going to be a delay? Anyone know? Is Rappert he's still grinding?
So I'm assuming that's now a draw after rook g6, right? That's 3 times? I can't count.
So did white play like king f4, rook g4, king f3, rook g6?
Oh, I'm sorry. You guys can't see it. Yeah. Yes. So we've had, with rook g6, it would be the 3rd time, which it's probably already happened, or dude's thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're signing the score sheets right now.
Nothing.
Yeah, I think the clock has stopped.
Nothing to see here. They wasted all our time.
Okay.
A3.
Wow, Nepo.
Come on, Magnus.
Nepo draws.
Magnus.
Yeah,
it's officially a draw. Okay, you guys. Well, that was a cool sensei, a little bit unorthodox of a sensei. And
that was easy for Nepo.
Maybe next time we'll do David's endgames. And David, one cool thing we could do is if you have one of those endgames that you've thought deeply about, you could be the sensei and I could play it out against Kostya. That's a thought too.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, guys, I got to do my own little lesson here. And but that was fun.